this week's episode of Blockade Battlefront, there's a brand new drug called Angel Scales that's making its way into Hell Salem's lot, and Libra is gonna stop it with extreme force. And by extreme force, I mean playing the most ridiculously overblown version of chess that I have ever seen. It's called Prosfair, and it's in this week's episode. Episode 3 of the series does not actually focus on the main character Leonard Watch, but there are a few scenes with him in this week's episode, which are actually kind of interesting, because in last week's episode, he met that weird girl whose name is White, who claims to be a ghost. I'm not really sure if that's actually the case. But what's really interesting about this character is that, according to my commenters and subscribers, and what I've actually looked up, is that the character of White is an anime-only character. She never existed in the manga version of Blockade Battlefront, and I'm really interested to see what they're going to do with that, because they didn't waste any time in introducing an anime-only character, but she's not really off-putting at all, and I'm really interested to see what her whole story is going to be about, especially because she does mention that she does have a brother, and I'm actually guessing it's that one character who was shown at the very end of the first episode of the series. But everything else in this week's episode is pretty interesting. There's a little bit of humor at the beginning, with Zap basically just being a douchebag to Leonard, which is always just really fun to watch. There's a great scene between him and Sonic the Mock Monkey as well. But this whole episode is actually about Libra trying to stop this brand new drug, which is called Angel Scales, from making their way into the city. And throughout the episode, the various members are trying to figure out where this drug is and try to get some information, and they can't find anything. And that's where Klaus comes in. You see, at the beginning of the episode, they tease the fact that Klaus is obsessed with this game called Prosfair, which is very similar to chess, except that it makes no freaking sense whatsoever. Basically, it's just all about the skill of the player. You can actually play for upwards of 99 hours and on, and that actually happens in this week's episode. So, what's going to happen here is Klaus and this other brand new member of Libra by the name of Kekkai are going to go to the Altar World, and they're going to play a game of Prosfair with this one creepy demon-like guy who's been playing it for thousands of years, and if he wins the game, they're going to get some information about where to find these drugs and how they're being trafficked. So, the thing is, there's this other character they just decided to introduce out of nowhere, whose name is Ulchenko. He's this, ex-Soviet who also thinks he's amazing at this game, and he decides to play with this guy, and he ends up losing. Not only the game, but in his spirit as well. He almost seems like he's gonna be killed by this guy, and Klaus ends up saving the day by basically jumping in and getting ready to play him for upwards of 99 hours. The whole point of this scene is basically just to show, how mentally strong and beastly Klaus really is. He's never gonna give up. Even when he's bleeding from the nose, he's not gonna give up on this match. He ends up winning, of course, and gets the information for the team. So what's the rundown on this week's episode of Blockade Battlefront? Not quite the episode I was expecting, but I did like it because it's building on the world of the series a little bit more. What I will say is, stylistically, this week's episode was gorgeous, really gorgeous. When they actually went to the Altar World for the very first time, just all of the buildings and cathedrals, which were hanging from all different directions, looked really awesome. It was like MC Escher. In fact, my favorite scene in this week's episode is when Klaus, Kekkai, and Ulchenko actually finally arrive at their destination, and they walk through this hallway, and they do it sideways, and there's all these crazy paintings on the walls of all these crazy monsters and weird looking things, and then it transitions back to the normal shot of them standing in front of this door. For some odd reason, that scene just looked really good to me. There's also the character of Kekkai, who's another brand new member of Libra. She is awesome. If you actually look at the freeze frame when they introduce her character for the first time, she's going to have abilities that have to do with bombs and bloods and bullets. That is going to be awesome. She was already cool before when she had the red, the eye patch, and the frickin' motorcycle. The fact that she has these blood bombs, I cannot wait to see her in action. Otherwise, there was a lot of humor in this episode, especially at the beginning, just seeing everybody hang out. I especially love the scene where Zap is just messing with Leonard, and then suddenly, out of nowhere, Chain just appears standing on his hands like the ninja that she is. She's already one of my favorite characters, and she's really done almost nothing and said really not much at all. I'm really waiting for an episode that's going to focus specifically on her. Otherwise, this episode was all about Klaus and just demonstrating why he's the leader of the team and why he's so badass, because he has got the mental fortitude to pretty much do anything. So this was a nice episode expanding on the world. Not exactly a big action-packed episode, but in terms of style, animation, and the amazing soundtrack in this series, this is still a pretty awesome episode of Blockade Battlefront. So I'm going to give this week's episode a 4 out of 5. Fans of the series should definitely check it out. If you like the anime, if you like the manga, watch it. You might see something you like. Thank you guys for watching my review. Before you guys leave, make sure to tell me what you thought about this week's episode of Blockade Battlefront. Did you have a favorite scene from this episode? What do you think of the brand new character of Kekkai? Do you have a favorite member of Libra? Tell me in the comment section below. Make sure to subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Like the video, share it with all of your friends, follow us on social media. Thank you guys very much again for watching, and as always, stay dandy, baby.